Hi, welcome back. Hopefully by now you've watched the Welcome to Class video and the How-To Guide for PDF assignments. These videos provide a quick overview of the course and explain how to complete the assignments and submit them to me using the Angel website. If you haven't done so already, please watch those videos now and then return here to get started with your Module 1 assignments. This week I'd like to start by having you read Chapter 1 of your textbook. It's called Reading and Critical Thinking, Keys to Successful Writing. What you'll learn in Chapter 1 is how to be a better reader. And as you'll hear me say many times throughout this course, becoming a better reader is the key to becoming a better writer. The chapter explains how to be more critical with your reading, how to identify an author's main point, and then evaluate whether or not the author has provided enough details to support that point. For this week's reading assignment, I have a short essay by Daniel Dennett. Dennett is a philosopher, a writer, and a cognitive scientist. His article is called How to Make Mistakes, and Dennett makes a pretty convincing argument that making mistakes is not only a good way to learn, but a powerful secret to success. I'm also providing you a link to a video where a writer by the name of Catherine Schultz also talks about making mistakes and some of the misconceptions we have about learning something new. After you've read the Daniel Dennett essay and watched the Catherine Schultz video, I want you to complete the essay response worksheet, which, as I explained in my Welcome to Class video, is a PDF form where you will type your answers directly into the document and then submit the file to me from the Dropbox in this week's module. One of the first things I like to do with new students is get to know each other a little better. The writing workshop assignment for this week is to write something about yourself. In fact, I'd like you to make it a story. Tell me something that happened to you. It can be a story about an adventure you had as a child, a story about learning to ride a bike, a story about going to your first job interview, or even a story about you signing up for college classes. This type of writing is called a narration, which is something I want you to read about in Chapter 5 of your textbook. Be sure to take a look at page 45 to learn more about what a narration paragraph should look like. The grammar workshop exercise for this week is all about using commas, which happens to be one of the most troublesome parts of English grammar that students struggle with. So I'm hoping this exercise will help clarify when to use commas, when not to use commas, and where to place those commas in a sentence. First, let's do a quick review of the basic rules. Now, as I mentioned earlier, commas can be a little tricky, and that's because commas are used in so many different ways. For example, commas are used for linking two short sentences together. They're also used for listing several different items in the same sentence. Commas are used in sentences that have some type of introduction at the beginning. And they're also used for inserting extra words and phrases. So let's take a closer look at each of these examples. Here's an example where a comma can link two short sentences together. I worked hard in class. I earned a good grade. Now, according to English grammar rules, we should be able to combine these two sentences into one simply by adding the word "and" in the middle. I worked hard in class and I earned a good grade. However, there's something missing here. What's missing is the comma, which should be placed just before the word "and." So why do we need a comma? Because whenever we combine two complete sentences, or in grammatical terms, that's called two independent clauses, they must be separated by some type of punctuation. And in this example, a comma is the perfect choice. I worked hard in class, comma, and I earned a good grade. Here's an example where a comma is used to separate a series of items in a sentence. My favorite vegetables are carrots, peas, and potatoes. Notice that the words carrots, peas, and potatoes are three different items within the same sentence, and therefore should be separated by commas, like this. My favorite vegetables are carrots, comma, peas, comma, and potatoes. Or how about, I'm going to the game with Steve, Marie, and Andrew. Again, the words Steve, Marie, and Andrew are three different items within the same sentence, and therefore should be separated by commas, like this. I'm going to the game with Steve, comma, Marie, comma, and Andrew. Commas are also used when a sentence includes some type of introduction, like, in my opinion, the game should have been canceled. Notice that this part of this sentence, the game should have been canceled, could certainly stand on its own as a complete sentence. However, whenever we add extra information at the beginning, like, in my opinion, this type of introduction needs to be offset by a comma, like this. In my opinion, comma, the game should have been canceled. Sometimes extra information shows up in the middle of a sentence instead of at the beginning. For example, Andrew, our department manager, has resigned. Can you spot the extra information in this sentence? Notice that this part of this sentence, Andrew has resigned, is pretty much a complete sentence on its own. It has a subject, a verb, and in grammatical terms doesn't really need anything else to make it a complete sentence. That means the phrase, our department manager, is essentially extra information that doesn't really have to be there. And as a result, it should be set off by commas, like this. Andrew, comma, our department manager, comma, has resigned. Or how about, the game, in my opinion, should have been canceled. Again, the phrase, in my opinion, is extra information that's not required to make the sentence complete. Therefore, we need to set it off with commas, like this. The game, comma, in my opinion, comma, should have been canceled. The comma exercise I've provided here will give you some practice in identifying what types of sentences need commas and where to place them. So that's it for this week's assignments. If you have any questions about the exercises in this module, or if you are having any trouble using the PDFs and submitting them back to me, please contact me using course mail on the Angel website. You can also write to me directly at david.briggs@iowavalley.edu. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next week.